Hi, Alyssa. It's good to see you again. How have you been?
I've been good. How have you been?
I've been well. So this is a follow-up meeting from a couple of weeks ago where we discussed the needs you had for your nurses and doctors for receiving new scrubs, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. So at that time, you had stated that your three biggest priorities for scrubs were they needed to be comfortable and not irritate the skin. They needed to help not sweat or just sweat prevention, and they needed to be affordable. Is
Mhm.
that correct?
Yeah. Mhm.
So what I would like to do today is ask you a few more questions just to get a little more basis of everything, and then show you some of the features of our product that I think could benefit you and your team. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So the first question, what has led you to review a new scrub supplier?
I mean, I do like the scrubs that I have. They're manageable for me right now, but they're not perfect. Like, obviously, work clothes are not meant to be comfortable, but scrubs, they're kind of built to be comfortable. Just because healthcare professionals, they work really long shifts, they're on their feet all day. We also deal with a lot of like bodily fluids and all that kind of stuff. So our attire like has to represent that really well for us. So I'm also a new nurse, so I have a really long way to go in my career. So taking the time to actually find like the right pair of scrubs, I think is going to be worth my while, and it'll be beneficial for me in the long run. Just so I don't have to worry about finding a new pair of scrubs every 3 months when my old ones break down. Um, so yeah, pretty much.
So do you have like a certain amount of scrubs that you carry with you, or do you just have like one pair that you continually wash?
I usually right now I just have about two or three pairs. Like I said, I'm a new nurse, so I'm just like getting the hang of everything, and I'm trying to find the right scrubs for me right now. So I only have like three.
Okay, cool. So next question, who is involved in making decisions when it comes to new suppliers?
So it's just me. The hospital doesn't really have any involvement with that. It's, as long as we're in scrubs, they could care less which ones we wear as long as they're really appropriate. So, yeah.
Gotcha. All right. And how would you go, or how do you go about purchasing new scrubs for new employees?
So that's another thing the hospital doesn't really do for us. It's just like, working in an office, once you get hired, your boss or your employer, they're not going to buy you a whole bunch of work clothes. Like that's something you have to go out and buy.
Mm.
That's the same way in the hospital. So they just kind of tell us what to wear and we have to go and find it ourselves. We can get like references from them. Sometimes we get discounts from some scrub places that are really helpful. They might supply us with a t-shirt every now and then for a special holiday or special occasion. But yeah, as far as that goes, it's our responsibility.
Okay. So I guess this is kind of more hypothetical now, but so what impact do you think a reliable scrub supplier could have on your operations and workflow if you were to, like if the hospital was to be like have a specific supplier for all of their employees?
I think it would be really helpful. Like for me personally, it's hard to find, the right scrub supplier for me. Yeah, I look on Amazon. There's a couple of like clothing stores around, but there's not a lot, so it can be really hard to find some, especially affordable ones too. So I think it would be really helpful for us to have just one place where we can all go. It would be easier to try things on. It would be easier to get a hold of stuff. We'd probably get a discount with it. I just think it would take a lot of stress off of us. We already have a lot to worry about, so I just think it would be, pretty beneficial.
So do you think your patients and customers would have any expectations in terms of that, or do you think it's solely just within the hospital itself?
No, I don't think patients would really have, they don't care what we come in as, especially when they're dealing, they're sick or they might be going into surgery. I think that's the last thing they're going to think
Yeah,
about. I think it does make a difference. If you have a nurse coming in well put together, you're going to notice that rather someone who's coming in looking sloppy. So, I mean,
gotcha. Okay. And then the last question, how would your business be affected if something went, let's say you do have a scrub supplier, how would something be affected if something went wrong with the supplier? Do you think it'd have a massive effect or just nothing crazy?
yeah, I think it just depends on the situation. So, like, say we had a delivery that just took too long to get here, that could obviously like have an impact on us. But we could always just use the ones that we already have. If it's something like the material isn't right and We have chemicals getting on our skin because the material is not strong enough for it, or they're easily torn. We also deal with psych patients. So that's something we have to worry about too to protect ourselves. So I think it just kind of depends on the situation, and ultimately, like, it could make a really big impact.
For sure. Right. And so with all of that, especially with you saying that each nurse is kind of responsible for buying their own scrubs, I'd kind of like to show you the features of our scrubs that I think are different from our competitors,
Yeah.
just to where maybe you can see that and maybe other nurses could see that as well.
Yeah. I think
So first off, one of our first feature for our scrubs is we have, they're made of a cotton polyester fiber that is smooth and silky to the touch to where it doesn't irritate skin and will hardly be noticeable on the job. So especially when you're running around, the last thing you want is to have maybe itches or irritated skin while you're running around in the hospital.
Yeah.
Another feature that we have built in is actually a Hydro Shield sweat-proof technology. That's actually used by the military as well for their uniforms. To help you keep your body cool in the busiest times. Maybe the air goes up, where it could be really hot in certain situations, and that could be helpful.
Yeah, especially because now we're using PPE. So we have like extra gowns and gloves and masks, and that would definitely make a difference for us for sure.
Yeah, so it's already hot as it is, so any help is great, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. And then so I guess our last feature is our scrubs are super affordable compared to the name brands and other stores.
Mm-hmm.
You may be paying $1 more for ours, so you're really not breaking the bank when it comes to buying these scrubs. And I feel like there's a lot more benefit for what you're getting out of it, a lot more bang for your buck. So those to me are our best features for these scrubs. Do you have any maybe concerns or questions that I haven't answered yet?
One thing I was thinking about is just like, how long do you think the scrubs would last for us? Because I know for me, some of them that I've bought, the material seems really great, and all of a sudden, a couple of months later, it's already ripping and tearing. So I'm just curious as to how your guys' material is going to compare.
So our material, based off our tests, usually they last for around 2 years. And if anything happens within the scrubs within the first year, we do a full money back guaranteed, or we can replace the scrubs that were already damaged.
All right.
Awesome. And so I would love to get to try and meet again. Maybe I can bring a sample, or you can come by our factory and we can go over and have you test out some scrubs and maybe try them in the job setting.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Awesome. Well, I will send an email to you trying to get a date that works perfect for you, and we'll go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you for meeting with me again.
Yeah, of course.